Hey guys, my name is Jay Price and I am the inventor of SynciTRAGE, and it's my goal today to go over exactly what is SynciTRAGE and how it can benefit you and your business. But before we get started with that, I would like to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me and how this whole thing came about. I am a husband and father of 7 children, come here July. Super excited about that. And I have been selling full time on Amazon now for 4 years. Prior to that, I worked in law enforcement, and I still miss it sometimes. But I've always been kind of entrepreneurial at heart. And working as an Amazon seller, you don't get shot at, so that's always a nice perk of the job. My primary business model was online arbitrage, and then I would say secondary is retail arbitrage, selling online. We were selling out of our, all operations out of our garage. We moved into a warehouse last September, and that's been really exciting. And what it's allowed me to do is kind of automate some of the more mundane tasks of my business and focus on other parts of my business that I like this, like software development. And how SynciTRAGE came about was I primarily source from lead list, and it seems like in the past 12 months, prices have not been holding up to the point that we anticipate them to, and I was looking for a way to mitigate that challenge and discovering some different things, and came across some different tools that I can use to help me with that. So without further ado, let us get started. Let me shrink that way down and we will get started. All right, so SynciTRAGE, what is it? So SynciTRAGE is a lead generation tool, an OA lead generation tool. And the word is a made-up word that I just made up. I hated it at first, but now I'm kind of grown to it. But it's a combination of two words, synchronize and arbitrage. And it uses already existing technologies and it leverages those to give us profitable leads to source from. So I hope to go over all the aspects of that. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so arbitrage. Before we start talking about SynciTRAGE, let's talk about arbitrage. So arbitrage is the simultaneous buying and selling of securities, currency, or commodities in different markets or in derivative forms in order to take advantage of differing prices for the same asset. All that to say is basically taking advantage of market inefficiency to buy low and to sell high. That's what arbitrage is. I believe it's a French word. So like I mentioned before, my business model is 70% RA. I'm sorry, 70% OA and 30% retail arbitrage. But what's interesting about that is my retail arbitrage, I have typically about a 75% ROI, and my online arbitrage, my ROI is typically about 40 to 42%. The problem is that retail arbitrage, at least for me in my area, is just more difficult to scale. And so that's one of the reasons why I've focused so much on online arbitrage. All right, so let's talk about Amazon. So Amazon is the primary method that we use to sell online. It's the world's largest marketplace with over 950 million sales every single day. That's $40 million in revenue every hour. And there's a bunch of different ways to sell online. There is retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. You can sell. I used to sell books by the truckload. Private label. I do a little bit of that. White label, wholesale, and drop shipping. All kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of different ways to sell on Amazon, but primarily we want to focus on online arbitrage here in this presentation. All right, so let's talk about supply and demand. I used to have an econ professor that would get so miffed at when people would say the law of supply and demand, and he would quickly correct them and say there's no law of supply and demand. It's actually two laws. It's an amalgamation of two laws, the law of supply and the law of demand. So the law of demand says that at higher prices, buyers will demand less of an economic good. The law of supply says that at higher prices, sellers will supply more of that economic good. And the two laws interact to determine the actual market prices and volume of goods that are traded in a live market. So let's look at these laws, or really just a realization. Let me move this off some more, a realization of what's going on here in the market. So this is an item that I sourced back in April, and this is a Keepa chart, and this is the little snippet of the actual data from Amazon that happens every time you make a sale. So you can see I sourced this. You can tell on my SKU I sourced this April 10th. This is the day I actually purchased it, so about right here, and with a target sale price of $181.95. This lead came from a lead list provider, and at the time I sourced it, the offer count was increasing, and I should have been aware of this and not purchased it, or maybe didn't buy so many. But I purchased this at $89 with the anticipation to sell it at $181, but eventually I had to just settle for the $147. But what I wanted to show you guys was that this is supply and demand in action right here, and you can clearly see it. So this purple line down here represents the number of offers, or you can consider it the number of sellers who are also selling this item. So when it was way back here in October of last year, the price was fairly stable at about just under $200. And then it goes out of stock, the price jumps now because there's no supply, but the demand is there. And so when people do come back into stock with this item, they're able to charge a higher premium because the supply is less. So, and then over here, the supply stays pretty stagnant, and the price kind of stagnates, but it's kind of fluctuating up and down. And then look at what happens. The supply explodes, quadruples, and then the price comes down because now the market is saturated. And this is where I sold out here around the 150 mark, sub 150 mark. But look at this. The offer count is going back down, and look at that price. It's starting to climb back up again. So this is very demonstrative of the law of supply and the law of demand. I wanted to point that out to you guys. All right, so let's look at another one. This is the Funko Pop that I bought from Monsters, Inc. Same thing. I sourced this March 7th with the anticipation to sell it at $34.99, and my actual sale price was $27.62. And let's look at what happened. So I bought this March 7th, around here, right in the middle, you could say, with the anticipation of hitting these numbers back here. But what happened? The offer count skyrocketed, and the price tanked, and it came way down. And instead of holding on and waiting, I just got out of Dodge. I made my 15 or 16% ROI on this, and moved along. And so I really wanted to show you guys that those two examples. And this is, not always the case, but it's indicative of what happens when purchasing from a lead list. So let's look at a lead that we purchased using SynciTRAGE. All right, so I purchased this actually about 2 weeks ago on May 16th. On May 16th, you can see where the buy box drops down here. Do you see that? I bought it for, I believe, $4 and some change. Let's look. Yeah, I bought it for $4.96 with the anticipation of selling it at $17.95, and it sold at $17.87, only 8 cents off of my mark. And so, and this is very typical of the leads that we find with SynciTRAGE, and I'll show you guys more about that here as we continue. All right, so let's talk about OA and sourcing. So there's a couple of ways that we can source online. We got manual sourcing, right, and or raw sourcing, that some people will call it, and that involves like chasing sales. So like Walmart right now is doing their Walmart Plus wannabe Prime Day stuff. I don't know what else to call it, and you can go through, and we actually have a tool that will help you go through and help you with raw sourcing that sale. You can look at BrickSeek. You don't need SynciTRAGE to look at BrickSeek, and you can monitor the online markdown feed and find profitable leads that way. You can go to Keepa Deals and find profitable leads that way. You can find, I like to call them honey hole websites, like these smaller, more niche websites that maybe not a whole lot of people know about, or maybe tactical arbitrage doesn't work for, and manually source those sites. I've done all of these, and I continue to do some of them. I love raw sourcing, but there's some pros and there's some cons to it. So the pro is, right, we have less competition because it takes more effort. Another pro is that the profit margins are higher because of that lack of competition. One of the cons is that it does require a different skill set than just sourcing from a lead list. And it is very time consuming. You can often have limited results with a large amount of effort. So there is that. All right, what about another way? Lead list. And let me start off by saying this. I am not anti-list. I still have 4 lead lists that I never plan on letting go of because they're profitable. They are easy to scale. I love that the lead list provider vets the leads for my team, so they're not going through and like, hey, is this a shady website, or is this deal really a good deal? There's a certain beauty, and then just having that lead prepared for your team, and they can do a limited amount of analysis and purchase that lead, and it can be profitable. The con is that lead lists typically have items that have a high discoverability. And what does that mean? There's tools out there like OA X-ray and tactical arbitrage that will allow a user to go into Walmart or name any website, Target, and scan that store to produce leads. And you can find good things there by doing that, but oftentimes there's a million other people doing the same thing. And so what happens is, especially with lead list, is yeah, those items are profitable, but when they become discovered, just like I showed you in those keeper graphs, that offer count's going to rise dramatically. And if you don't get out of Dodge fast, if you don't sell and get out, then you're going to be caught holding the bag. Another thing with lead list, a con, is that a lot of new sellers will jump on to lead list, and there's nothing wrong with new sellers. I used to be a new seller, but oftentimes new sellers, and I know this because I didn't when I was a new seller, we don't necessarily know how to work our repricer, and that can also lead to really, really bad price tanking, like really, really bad. And it can stay there for a long time. Lead list kind of attract those new sellers and can hurt profitability. All right, and another way you can source online is using this tool, SynciTRAGE. I like it because it has items that have limited availability, which seems contrary to what you would want in a lead, right? But it's not necessarily the case. You don't want that same lead available for everybody to see. Just think about that item that, if we can go back to it, let's see if I can't find it. If you look at the keeper chart on this thing was only this price, maybe an hour. And it just happened to be there when I was looking. And it's not that uncommon to find stuff like this on a daily basis. You just have to be looking for it. So let's go ahead and go back to where we were. All right, so limited availability, higher ROI. Because we're buying on such a steep discount, we're buying, I like to call them aggressively discounted leads. The ROI is higher just because you bought for so cheap. And that helps keep your buy costs down while increasing your margins, and I'm all for that. Also, I like SynciTRAGE because on a typical day, you can get double the leads of a lead list, if not quadruple, but consistently at least double the number of leads that you can evaluate with SynciTRAGE than you can with the lead list. Now, what are the cons? One of the cons is when I first started running SynciTRAGE, I was like, you know what? The morning time is the best time to source from SynciTRAGE. That's when all the deals are running in the morning, and you won't go wrong. You can find a bunch of stuff. Well, then I started running it for a couple of months, and I realized, man, I'm not buying as much in the morning as I once was. And then I started running it in the afternoon, and that's where the deals were. And so because we don't have any control over the data as far as what we get and when we get it, there is a bit of inconsistency in the time of day that leads are found. And so if you're one of the ones that only has the ability to source during a certain time of the day, SynciTRAGE may not be a good fit for you. So I just want to, again, putting all the cards out there. All right, let's get into it. Well, just SynciTRAGE. SynciTRAGE is a Chrome extension that leverages existing technology to generate OA leads. It synchronizes the data between BrickSeek, which we'll talk about in Keepa, to deliver profitable leads to source from. What is BrickSeek? BrickSeek is a deals website. It's one of many. One of the best, though. I really like it. And they monitor different retailers, including Amazon, for price drops. and they look at these, they call them markdowns, and they don't really give us a definition on what they consider a markdown. It could be 25-cent markdown, it could be $100 markdown, and then they make those available for the consumers. So it's not really built for resellers like us, but it's made for the consumers. Now, just because it's not built for us doesn't mean there's not an opportunity here for us, and I'll show you that here in a minute. In order to make SynciTRAGE work, you will need an active extreme level membership with BrickSeek, and that is $29.99. And because you need to have access to their online markdown feed in order to make it work. All right, what is the online markdown feed? Well, the online markdown feed is, again, it's a extreme member only access, and what it is, it's BrickSeek will constantly stream to you markdowns in this online markdown feed that we can then monitor, mine, and parse the data for profitable leads. All right, and this is what it looks like. So you have your online markdown feed, and you have your old price here, followed by, you have your old price here, followed by your new price. And there's a couple of ways that you can sort this data. This is not a clickable picture, but it'll default to a 24-hour time frame and a newest type search. There's three options. Once you click on this, it'll be newest, discount, and markdown. The two ways that I like to search is by newest and by markdown, and that's what SynciTRAGE does, and I'll explain those here more in a minute when we actually get into the tool. All right, so SynciTRAGE, it's one tool but in three parts, and these are three separate subscription levels. We have SyncIt, which it does not parse the online markdown feed, but what it does, well, we'll get into that more in the next slide, but and then we have SyncLite, and that does parse the online markdown feed to find profitable leads, and so does SyncPro. The only difference between Pro and Lite is that in Pro, you can set up automated features to where it'll run searches for you automatically, so long as you leave your Chrome window active, and then sync that data to the backend. That's the only real difference between the two. All right, so SyncIt, that was the one I was telling you about we're going to get into. This is super cool, and I didn't think that I was going to have a use for this until I started doing more raw sourcing and realized, like, yeah, there is a use for this. So SyncIt basically allows you to keep a data on non-Amazon product pages. And what do I mean? Well, how would you like to keep a data on Walmart or Kohl's or Target? You now have the ability to have dynamic Keepa charts on different retailers' websites. Now, before you get too excited, it only works with these three websites. We're going to be adding more websites in the very, very recent or near future. Eventually, it's going to work with every single website that BrickSeek works with. So what does that mean? Home Depot, Kohl's, or not Kohl's, Lowe's, Ulta, Dollar General, all those sites, it will work with that, I would say, within the next week or two. So that is SyncIt. Now, SyncLite and SyncPro will include the ability to do this. But SyncIt just by itself, if you just subscribe to SyncIt, you won't be able to parse the Keepa data, but you will have the ability to look at this, and it is tremendous for raw sourcing. It is so helpful for raw sourcing. It also helps with OA list buying. Like if you want to just open up the source URL link and then just evaluate what that, if you read a Keepa chart, that's pretty much, all you need to make a good buying decision. But yeah, I really, really, really like Keepa data off of Amazon. All right, so SyncLite and SyncPro. So this is SynciTRAGE. This is the online markdown feed being parsed. It'll show you like, hey, we're on page 3 of 15. We found 24 products, and we're checking number 17 of that 24. And this is what the tool looks like. When you hover over this, it'll give you a 1-year static Keepa chart. It'll give you an average overall price. This is a proprietary calculation that we've put together to say, hey, this is the price target maybe you should aim for. And then it'll give you your net profit at that price target with the new price that it can be sourced for. This search, I think I took this screenshot when it was still running, so it's not complete. But I'll show you guys it working what an actual chart looks like here in a second. what you can do is you can click this. Let's just say you wanted to investigate this lead and it was profitable, not -$6. You can hit open. It'll open up the source link as well as the Amazon in one click. I really like that. And again, guys, like I'm a buyer, right? So, I'm an Amazon seller. I want tools that make my job easier, and I approached the development of SynciTRAGE in that regard. I don't want to have to click the link twice. And some of you may think, oh, well, that's petty. Well, if I'm if I'm spending 8 hours a week doing buying, if I can turn that into 7 hours, then I gain an extra hour, right, to go be with my family. I have 7 children, so they kind of need me. And there's just one of those things. I've heard it said that little hinges swing big doors, and I think that's 100% true. So, and also, it's not quite ready yet, but when you click on this link for Amazon, if you're using AsinZen, it'll default the price and as the average overall for your sell price, and the buy cost will be your new buy cost. And so again, not wasting time typing in those numbers when we can do that programmatically and saving you those little pieces of time. All right, so what it's going to do, or like how does it work, right? So there's basically two tests that it's going to pass in order for an item to be considered good or not. And forgive me, but I'm getting ready to make an anime reference. I am a huge anime fan and a big nerd. So there's this anime called Hunter x Hunter, and they have this thing called the Tamishi no Man, or it means the testing gate. I don't know why I put dual gate. It means the testing gate, and only the strongest of characters can make it through this series of gates. And that's where I kind of got this idea from, was basically it's going to say, if there's an exclusionary word test. So if you don't want to evaluate LOL because you can't sell it, you put that in your exclusion mark, and then it won't even evaluate that lead. Or if mattresses are never profitable for resale, no matter the discount, just because of the weight, or you just don't want to sell them, you could put that in there, so it won't evaluate mattresses. So it has to pass that test. The second part is it going to meet your criteria or not? And then once it does that, then it'll present it in that window that I just showed you, and we'll go over that more here in a minute. But the important part here is SynciTRAGE, both on Lite and Pro collectively, will only have a subscriber base of 40 people. And I do that because I didn't want this to get saturated, and I wanted to provide value to a certain select group number of people who saw value in the tool. All right, so the next question that I usually get by now is like, okay, pricing. How much does this thing cost? And here it is. So for SyncIt, like I mentioned before, it's $27 a month, and it works on 3 websites. Now I need to update this picture: Walmart, Target, and Kohl's, soon to be Home Depot and Lowe's. Sync Lite is $247, and Sync Pro is $297. The only difference between Sync Lite and Sync Pro is that with Sync Pro, you can do the automated search and schedule feature with that, and with Sync Lite, you cannot. Both of these will include SyncIt in it, and it'll work on those sites. SyncIt will not be able to parse the online markdown feed. I just want to make that clear. All right, so let's talk about the results and what we get out of that. Excuse me. All right, so we had 2 of our beta testers give us their ASIN profitability reports from Amazon, and here's what we found. So RB ASIN profitability report from March 28th to May 2nd. This person did 349 or had 349 sales for an average profit per order of $17.87. For reference, my average profit per sale with general OA list buying, on a good day, it's $7. On a bad day, it's about $5. This person buying off of with SynciTRAGE was able to eke out a profit per order of $17.87, and this is a very experienced buyer too. I would say that this person's results are more typical of a new user to SynciTRAGE. They get 75% ROI for a total net profit of $6,218.65. Now, I will say that returns are not included into this. But let's just say that my return rate is about 13%. Let's say that this person had experience. I like to do worst case scenario because I tend to be pretty conservative when it comes to this type of stuff. Let's just say they experienced a 20% return rate. So we could do 6218 times 20%. That's $1,243. So that's still over. That's almost $5,000 of net profit, counting for a double of what a normal return rate would be. All right, so I don't need to make any more statements about that. All right, so this person, CS's ASIN profitability report. It covers orders from March 27th to April 17th, so just under a month. They had 102 orders, an average profit per order of $11.95. Again, on a good day, my average profit per order for general OA is $7. And it's about 39% ROI. This person had 69% ROI for a total net profit of $1,207. Again, not counting for returns. Returns aren't counted. And I can send you guys these reports if you want. They'll be anonymized, and the order numbers will be stripped from them. But the ASINs will be there, and you can see, you can look at Keepa and see where they bought at and where they sold at on all these items. And I can furnish those upon request. That's not a problem. All right. So I get two questions all the time when I go through this. Is one, why not keep it to myself? And then two, why SynciTRAGE? The first one I'll answer in that some of the most successful people that I've seen in this space love to help other people. And if I want to be successful, then I need to fall in love with the idea of helping other people meet their goals. And so part of me, that's why I developed SynciTRAGE, is because I think that this could be a beneficial tool to other people to help them scale their businesses. Another reason is that there's over 7,000 leads that hit the online markdown feed every 24 hours. And I know that because I've been monitoring it at least for the past 7 months. And it's 7,000 new leads every 24-hour period. Just think about that. On my best day that I'm coming to SynciTRAGE and running it, I'm probably monitoring maybe 300 of those 7,000 and actively evaluating them. Not all of them are available, or not all of them are profitable, but that's tremendous. And, I'm blessed, but I'm not that blessed. I can't take advantage of all that. And so why not create this tool to where other people can take advantage of all that data? Number two, why SynciTRAGE? I don't know how else to say it, but it's profitable, and why not, right? One of my friends, the way he thinks about spending money is, what vehicle can I put my money in that it's going to run the fastest and the furthest, most efficiently? And for me, SynciTRAGE has been it. That's not to say I don't do list buying or I don't do RA, retail arbitrage anymore, but SynciTRAGE has been a very, very successful vehicle to put my money into and to get returns from. And so let's look at the tool a little bit. Let me go ahead and pause this and then get the screen up. All right, so this is BrickSeek. And if you click on the Chrome extension up here, nope, I'm not logged in. Let me get logged in. Just get logged in. And then once it says you're logged in, you can close this window and then refresh this page. And then you'll see our custom search selection bar pop up right here once the extension recognizes the user is logged in on this page. So just give it a second. There it is. All right, so this is what I was telling you about. You can, and this is native within BrickSeek. It'll default to 24-hour period, and you can search newest, discount, or markdown. We discount the discount selection option, and we just search newest and markdown. In my research, I found that the discounts are wildly inconsistent, and markdowns are a much better tool to search under. So in our custom search selection bar, well, let's talk about this. So BrickSeek gives you the option to search 3, 6, 12, 24, 72 hours. searching more than 12 hours, really 8 hours is the spot. Those leads aren't going to be available anymore, and so you're going to end up wasting your time, just evaluating stuff that is profitable, but you can't purchase anymore. And so we found the sweet spot was we instead of a 3 hour, we can do a 1 hour, a 3, a 6, and an 8. And those are really some of the key search time frames that you want to do. And so typically how you would run the tool, or I'm sorry, how you would manually do this is you would come here, select Markdown, let it reload. And for those of you who haven't used Brickseek before, it's very slow. The website itself is very, very slow, mainly because they're pulling in all this data from Kohl's and Amazon and Macy's and Home Depot. And so it takes them a while to get all that stuff generated. And then once you select that, you got to come over here and select a time frame, go down here and select search or show, and then let it load again. And so I didn't want to do all that. And again, it's just one of those things that always bugged me. And so with SynciTRAGE and our custom search selection tool, you can just select a search and then a time frame, and it'll load both of those up at once. And so let's, for this one, I ran a 3-hour markdown. I'm not going to run it right now because I have some results to show you. But I wanted to talk about that here in a minute, or talk about that before we got started. If you click on the extension, you'll see this is that first gate, that Tamishi no Mai, the testing gate I was telling you guys about. This is the first of those gates, is your excluded word list. And this is available on SynciTRAGE.com/tutorial. And it will include, there's also some training videos up here too. You can get more of me. But it'll get the suggested exclusionary words right here. And these are the ones that I just found like, hey, these are the ones that, are very seldomly, either I can't sell or they're not accepting applications. You don't have to use these. It'll come blank, your exclusionary word filter. So you can put whatever you want. I will say, be careful with this. Like I put in as seen on TV, and then I wasn't able to search like TV mounts or something like that. And I didn't like that. So just be careful what you put in here. Yeah, because you don't want to get stuff excluded. But you can use it for stuff that you never want to buy, like Velcro. If Velcro is in the title, you should not be selling it. And ask me how I know. That was the compromise I put. Instead of as seen on TV, I just put as seen. If as seen is in the title, then I don't want to search that because you should not also be selling that brand. So that's the first gate. The second gate is this minimum price difference. And what it refers to is the difference between the old price here and the new price here. And it'll default to 50, and that's good. But again, I like to cast that wide net. The lower the number you put in here, the more items it's going to bring in for evaluation. And that could be a good or a bad thing. It could be good in that, you can catch some stuff that is really profitable, but then it'll take longer to run. I find that the lowest I'll go is about 40%, because if the price difference isn't that great, then the probability of profitability becomes less. I just made that up on the fly. Say that 10 times fast. All right, so your 30-day keeper drops. It'll default to 10 for you. Again, I'm okay with an 8. I usually find that 8 to 10 drops is about 15 to 25 sales a month, which I'm fine with, but you can make that number be whatever you want. Your referral fee. This is the only number that we don't know for sure, the referral fee. So we estimate it to be at 15%. You can put it at whatever you want it to be at. All the referral fees range on Amazon from 8 to 17%, depending on the category. But 15% is 90%, probably higher than that, of what the referral fees actually are. And then your minimum net profit. You could say if it meets a $5 minimum and a 40% ROI, it meets my criteria. I don't. I say mine is 4 and 35. Again, just to cast that wide net. And then up here for the Pro feature, if you have Pro, this is where you set up your automated searches. So typically, let's just say it's the end of the day, it's 4 o'clock, and when I come in tomorrow morning, I want to have fresh leads to look at. So I'll say, show me the newest leads every from the past 8 hours, and then run that search every 8 hours or something like that. And then sync, I'll set sync to be automatic, and then it'll pick that up, and then I can go on my back end, look at all of those search results overnight, and look at that stuff first. All right, so I started to search, and typically in the morning, it'll take it about 20 minutes to run. So I usually will start it, go make me some coffee, and then drink or whatever. I go check the warehouse and come back and evaluate my leads. So let's look at them. So if you hit view down here, so this is SynciTRAGE. So if it's red, it means it didn't find a match. If it's yellow, it means it didn't meet your criteria. And if it's green, it means that it met your criteria. So you can come up here and just see the leads that meet your criteria. So you want to select that and then come over here and hit apply. So we had 74 total that it evaluated. And out of that 74, it found 8 leads that meets our criteria. Let's check out what we got. All right, so excuse me. If you click on this, you'll get a 1 year one year static keep a chart. And this is really helpful because you can see that this price is normally between $15 and just over $20. And right now, it's super discounted at $4.93. This is crazy. This is crazy good. 12 keep a drops a month. It's estimating an $8 profit and 162% ROI. Now, this was about an hour ago that I ran the search. I bought them an hour ago, and they're not there anymore. But yeah, and it is an Amazon to Amazon flip. And let me talk about that here for a minute because there's a little bit of I don't want to say misinformation, but wrong information about Amazon to Amazon flips. You can buy from Amazon to resell on Amazon. You just can't buy using your Prime buyer account. You can't use any Prime benefits to do it. And so I just wanted to clear that up. A lot of the leads that we get out of here are Amazon to Amazon flips, about 80%. The other 20% come from other retailers like Macy's or Kohl's. I buy a lot from Kohl's. Shout out Kohl's Cash. I like it a lot. But yeah, so I'm coming here, I'm evaluating, and I usually will just use the information from the keep a graph to the buy button, and I can make a determination whether or not I want to purchase. But if you needed more, if you hold shift and scroll over, or you can use the bar down here, there's a whole plethora of information. I didn't think I was going to use that word today. I got it out. Of information that you could use to help you make a more informed buying decision. I mean, just look at all these columns that you can use to do that with. And so that's super helpful. Now, you can pick up and move these columns for how you want this table to look. But the moment you close it and reopen it, it's going to go back to default. And that will be corrected in a future update. So yeah, I'm typically buying off of this, meets criteria, multiple times a day. All right, so let's look at does not meet criteria. And I'm buying off of this at least once a day. So does not meet criteria. So what I'll typically do is you can sort by here, and you can see there's 65 leads in this. It's basically everything else that didn't meet our criteria. And so what I want to do is let's get rid of all the negative stuff, all the negative net profit. And maybe let's get rid of all the negative or the net, if it doesn't meet a 25% ROI, let's get rid of it and hit apply. All right, cool. Well, that took us to 15 potential leads that we can buy. So this is average overall price is $24, and you can buy from Best Buy at $13.99. This is, it's right on the edge for me. I might take that $3 if it moves fast enough. This looks like it moves dramatically fast. Yeah, I might take that. And honestly, I've been buying a lot more DVDs and video games because they're so easy to prep. You can just slap a label on them and get it out the door. This is saying that's a $3 net profit and a 32% ROI, and it looks like it moves tremendously fast. Pac-Man Monopoly board game. So 32% ROI is not bad for a $4 net profit. Now, you may have to pay taxes on that, so it may not work at Macy's. But if you have some Macy's Star Cash, that may turn an unprofitable lead into a profitable. And again, I wanted the tool. I like my tools to be flexible, to not put me into a box, but at the same time be quick and agile. And that's why I like this search selector up here. And so that's how I'm typically making buys off of the does not meet criteria. Now, what about meets criteria? Or I'm sorry, or no match found. How am I making buys off of it? So let's clear this out. And then do no match found and hit apply. One thing. So AsinZen, which I don't know if it's working on, yeah, it's not working on this computer, but AsinZen has a tool called Insight 360 where you can search the text of an item as if you were conducting an Amazon search, but on this page. And it'll overlay it with all the cool AsinZen stuff that you normally would use to make a buying decision. And how I use it is, if it's a well-known brand, then I'm going to go ahead and search that stuff. But if it's like BCG or Sonoma or Apartment 9, I'm probably just passing on that stuff. But the other day I came here and I found some kids' Nike shorts that were crazy good ROI and net profit. Is just there was no ASIN associated with that UPC. And so using a text search, I was able to purchase those shorts. Again, fairly easy to do. Just to come here, and I usually will find stuff about once a week, and so I usually will do cream of the crop, and then I may have to dig a little bit, and then I'm looking here, and I'm making a buy off the no match found about once a week, and so yeah, that is SynciTRAGE right there in a nutshell. I don't know. I think that was it to go over. The website is SynciTRAGE.com, and if you go to once you download the Chrome store, download it from the Chrome store, which you can just go type in SynciTRAGE into the Chrome store and then you can download it from there. What was I was forgetting where I was going with this, but the tutorials. That's what it was. So you click on tutorial here, or go down to the footer. There's training. That's where I'm going to be putting all of our training about, like, hey, would you buy this or not? And again, if you need to get a hold of me, I put my phone number. This is it goes directly to my cell phone. This number right here. Give me a call, and if you need some help with getting set up, or like, hey, send me an ASIN or whatever. Friend me on Facebook at jprice. Send me an email, whatever. I'm here. It's only 40 of you guys, so like, why not? And yeah, I hope that you guys find this helpful and beneficial to you. And yeah, there you go. Have a good one.